All right, so let's do some more of these Web Security Academy projects. Cross-site request forgery, which is a lot like the stuff we did last time. So open the lab, and I'll close these other tabs. Okay, this is the simplest one, Csrf, the email change functionality, and you log in as Wiener Peter. So, and looks like the URL is showing okay. All right, so I go to my account and log in. And this is what that autocomplete was they were talking about. I can see what the previous user's been typing into forms like this, which is okay because it's me, but that's what you don't want to see for sensitive things. And now I can do an email change, and I want to catch that in burp. So I want to go to my burp and clean out all the old stuff. Right click, there we go, clear history. It's running kind of slow on me. Yes, all right. And I want to make it smaller so it fits in the window. There we go. All right, so now I do the email change. And so here's what it looks like in burp, this post. So it sends a post here, and it's a post with a session cookie, and down here it's got the new email, a@b.com, and here's the response when it works, a 302 found. So let's play some games with this. If I send this to the repeater, and I send it again, it takes it, so that you notice there's no anti-CSRF token. Now if there's anything wrong with that session cookie, like I add a 1 to it, that should break it. And looks like it did take it, and then it set a cookie, G5, just set a different cookie. Anyway, so all I have to do is trick somebody into sending that request. And for that, I can use, let me get my notes here. There they are. All right. So for that, they give you a standard form in the help page. Let me just show you that. If you go here, now apparently the Pro version has an automatic thing where once you see that request in burp, you can right-click and say Generate CSRF POC. So that's kind of nice, but you don't get that in the free version. In the free version, you have to do it manually. So you start from this, which is just an HTML form, and you're going to have some way to trick the user into seeing this, which is something that they implement in a sort of clumsy-looking way. You go to Exploit Server, and now you craft a response. It's going to deliver this to the user somehow, and you put it here in the body. And that didn't copy. Okay, let's go back to my example and copy it. Copy. All right. There we go. I think there. So there it is. Now I need to know the method and the URL. So I can get those from here. And I could figure out the URL, but you can just right-click a request and copy URL. Burp will do that for you, which is pretty nice. So now I can put that in here. All right. And it is a post request. So I can just put that in here. And what this exploit server is going to do is deliver this to the person as an email or something and trick them into doing it. Oh, now I can put in parameters. And there is a parameter I need, which is email equals a@b.com. So it would be, the name of it is email, and I put in some email to switch it to. And of course, the point of this is if you can change somebody else's email, you can then do a password reset. So I would change this email to one under my control. But anyway, that should do it. Now I store it. And if I want to test it, I can hit View Exploit and see if it works on me. And when it runs that as me, it does change my email, showing me this page. So it does seem like the exploit is working. So now I can send it to the victim. And it works. And it always thinks I ran it twice, probably because I have 2 tabs open. But anyway, that's the simple CSRF. And the next 2 are small variations on it. So this one here is where the token validation depends on the request method. And this I found a little confusing. You have to create a strange request that doesn't really make much sense, but apparently it fools this server. So I'm going to clear this old one and go back to my history. All right, here we are. It's the same story, Wiener Peter, and we're going to attack the email functionality. Log in. Get ready to change the email. I like to clean the history to get rid of all the old junk. And then update the email. There's the post. That's the request that did it. Okay, and this time there's a CSRF token. So that looks like it's going to be a problem. So if I send this to the repeater, okay, and now I try sending it again. Well, it accepted it with 302 found, and that's fine. Now if I change the CSRF token, like adding a 1 to the end, and then send it now, it tells me invalid CSRF token. So it's checking and validating that token. So this looks pretty bad. But what I can do is change it from post to a get. And I could just type it in there, or I can right-click and change request method, which will change this to a get. And when it changed it to a get, it put the token up there, which is pretty interesting. Now I send, and now it found it. So changing it to a get defeated it, and now it took the wrong token. So it doesn't verify the token if you use the wrong method. So that's the essence of the attack. So if I go to the exploit server, I can put in the same kind of attack I did before. All right, let me make it bigger. All right, so what this is going to do is use a get instead of a post, and now it's going to have all the junk up here in the URL, including the token. And when I tried this before, this one failed, although I just saw it work in Burp, so now I'm a little confused about it. So I'm going to try a couple things here. Let's store this, and let's try it on me with View Exploit. And it's still spinning. I wonder if the name of my Web Security Academy changed. 2D. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, that's never going to finish. I'll go back. Keep going back. Okay. What I need to do is I need to replace that URL. So let's go to Burp and copy the URL. Okay, replace that URL, which is different than the one there. Let's try that one. Store, View Exploit. And see now, missing parameter email. This is what happened to me before. And I don't really understand why this happened to me in this exploit thing, but it did not happen to me in Burp. In Burp, I just sent that one. But anyway, the cure is, although it might not be obvious, the cure is to add the email in as a parameter, even though this is a GET request. So wait, I just go back another one. All right. So here, my form doesn't have any parameters. So I put it in here like that, a hidden parameter email. Now the email is in here twice. It's up here in the GET request where it belongs, and it's also down here in the POST request where it doesn't belong. So now I'm sending this bizarre HTTP request, which includes both a GET request and POST parameters, which it seems to me like that should not work at all, but it does work. So I feel like something is a little messed up. But it worked when I did it before, although right now it may not be. Let's try view exploit. So it seems like the server accepts a GET and treats it like a POST. But something's wrong here. This is the one with the email. Store. View exploit. No response at all. Well, do you need the token to be what it was before? I did add a 1. You're right. Maybe I do. I didn't think I did. But you're right. When I did it before, I put in the exact token without the 1 added. So let's try getting rid of the 1. Store. View exploit. I'm really getting no response. Oh, there, now I'm getting response. Okay. It's there, but it's not running. Maybe I broke something. Let me go to the lab. Maybe I broke the script somehow with an extra quote or something. I'm not seeing it. Let me just copy. Let's see. Here's the one. Okay, here's, yep, here's, oh, I see what I did. Duh. The input doesn't go, okay. The input doesn't go there. It goes up here in the form. It was outside the form. Okay, now I feel better. It has to be inside the form for that input field to take effect. Let's store this one. Okay. And now view exploit. And now it works. Okay. And therefore it will now win. I just put a line out of place. There we go. All right, so that works, but I'm not really quite sure why I needed to add that extra parameter here, which I didn't have to do in burp. Yes, I'm also confused. I don't know why I have to add it, but you do have to add it, or it complains about missing field. And yet in burp, it doesn't complain about the missing field. So something is right here is the request without that, and when I send it, the response does not complain about missing field. So something is not quite right here, but that's as close as I got to figuring it out. And here's another one, which is even simpler, where it depends on the token being present. So it's the same old story. There's a cross-site request forgery in the email change email function. I need to log in as Wiener Peter. Okay, now I want to catch this request. Let's clear these old requests, get to the proxy, clear the old junk. Do the request. Okay, there's the post. So now it sends an email and a CSRF token down here, and it's a post. So I send this to the repeater, and I send it, and it works with a 302 found. But if there was something wrong, like if I changed the last letter I to a J, well, if I didn't have the right CSRF token, this is the problem. I'm not going to have the right value for this CSRF field. So if this was a 9 instead of an 8, and I sent it, then it's going to tell me invalid CSRF token. So this is a problem, but the solution is to just remove that parameter entirely. If the parameter is absent, it accepts that. So I send that. Now it works. So that's pretty silly, but of course that does happen, depending on how you write your script, that a missing parameter leads to an error which is interpreted as success. And so you really just have to use the same kind of injection we used the first time, as if there was no CSRF token. So you inject this, make this form with the hidden field in it, and I'll make it bigger. All right. And now I just need to fix that URL. I right-click and copy the URL. And now I put in the correct URL to get the particular server that the Web Academy is giving me now. And that should do it. So I store it, and I check it myself, view exploit, and it works. It gives me the success page. And so now I go to deliver it to the victim. And I win. So that's the first 3 of these CSRFs. And I think that's enough for tonight. You see, it's like the other ones we've done, simpler than some of them.